Hey everyone! So if you're in the tech world, you already know it has its own special language, right? It's fast, it's specific, and it's totally full of shortcuts. And honestly, a huge part of sounding like a real pro comes down to just one thing: phrasal verbs. We're going to break them down and show you why they are so important.
Okay, so picture this. You're working, and this alert pops up on your screen. Total heartstopper, right? For any engineer, these three little words are an immediate call to action. Everybody gets it instantly. Went down.
Or maybe you see this in your team's Slack channel. You're getting a new system online and a teammate messages, "We need to set the new server up." Pretty standard stuff.
And of course, the classic reply after a bug report gets filed. Let's look into it. Now, went down, set up, look into. What do all these have in common? Well, they're all phrasal verbs, and they are literally the glue that holds everyday tech conversations together.
Exactly. And you know, getting these right is about so much more than just ticking a grammar box. This is about professional fluency. It helps you sound totally natural in meetings, and it lets you just fly through all that technical documentation and tutorials you have to read.
Okay, so what are they really? Let's break down the basic formula. It's actually way simpler than you might think.
So, a phrasal verb is just a verb plus a little word we call a particle. Words like up, out, or in. And here's where the magic happens. When you put them together, they create a completely new meaning. A meaning that's often totally different from the original words on their own.
Right. Take setup, for example. When you set up a server, you're not literally, placing it on a high shelf. In our world, in tech, it means you install it or prepare it. Those two words together create a brand new, very specific action.
Okay, but it gets even more interesting. Not all phrasal verbs play by the same rules. Knowing the main types is really the key to using them correctly. So let's dive into the most important categories you need to know.
So this really shows the core difference. On one side, you've got separable verbs, like turn off. You can totally split these up. You can say turn off the server, or you can stick the object, the server, right in the middle, turn the server off. Both are 100% correct. But on the other side, with non-separable verbs like look into, you just can't separate them. It has to be look into the issue, no other way.
And this right here, this is the #1 most important rule for those separable verbs. If you swap out the server for a pronoun like it, that pronoun must go in the middle. It has to be turn it off or set it up. You can never, ever say turn off it. This is like the golden rule. You gotta remember this one.
Okay, so what about verbs that don't even need an object? They're totally complete all by themselves. We call these intransitive.
Yeah, remember that first scary example? The API went down. See, there's no object after it. The phrase is complete. The API is the thing doing the action. This is exactly the kind of thing you'd see in a status log.
And then, hopefully, just 10 minutes later, you get the good news. The service came back up. Again, that's intransitive. It doesn't need anything else to make sense. It just describes the service's new state.
Phew.
All right, so we've covered the two-word verbs. But sometimes you'll see phrasal verbs that have 3 parts. Let's take a quick look at those.
And trust me, these are everywhere in our daily work. You log into your account, you sign up for a new service, or you might run out of disk space. You'll also promise to get back to a colleague on a ticket, or say you look forward to learning a new framework. Just think of these as a single 3-part chunk that always sticks together.
Okay, so we've got the rules down. Now let's build a really practical toolkit you can use every single day, organized by the actual stuff you're doing at work. First up, setup and access. This is like your day 1 vocabulary. You'll set up a new environment, you'll log in to start your session, and you'll sign up for any new tools your team is using. Basic, but essential.
Next, my favorite, troubleshooting. When things inevitably go wrong, this is your go-to language. First, you run into a bug. You just discover it unexpectedly. Then you gotta figure out the problem, understand what's actually happening. And finally, you look into the cause, which means it's time to start digging through those logs and the code.
And for anyone working in DevOps or software engineering, these are absolutely critical. You roll out a new feature to your users. If something breaks, you have to roll back the deployment to the last stable version. And if there's a serious bug, you push out an emergency patch. See how they perfectly describe moving code around?
All right, time for a quick rapid-fire round to make sure these most important rules really stick. Here are the most common mistakes and, more importantly, how to fix them instantly.
Mistake number 1, trying to split a non-separable verb.
You would just never say, "We will look the issue into." It just sounds wrong, doesn't it? The fix, of course, is to keep that little team together. We will look into the issue. Easy.
And here it is, that other classic mistake we talked about. That crucial pronoun rule. Can you please set up it? Nope, always incorrect. Remember, that pronoun always goes right in the middle. The correct way to ask is, can you please set it up? Getting this one right will instantly make your English sound so much more natural.
Okay, so we've covered the definitions, the rules, and a whole bunch of real-world examples. Now, it's your turn to put it all into practice. So, before you do, let's just quickly recap the main points. First, phrasal verbs are absolutely essential for speaking tech English. Second, you have to know the difference between separable and non-separable. Third, never ever forget that pronoun rule. It's set it up, not set up it. And finally, like we showed, learning these verbs and categories makes them way easier to remember.
And that brings us to the most important part. The only way to really master these is to actually use them. So here's a little challenge for you. Can you write a short, maybe 6-line team chat conversation using the verbs you see here? How would you mix set it up, look into, went down, and get back to in a realistic scenario? Go on, give it a shot. It is for sure the fastest way to make all this knowledge stick.